Hello everybody, my name is Marcus and I'm a fibre artist from Scotland. My interests are mostly in crochet, knitting, weaving, spinning and dyeing, but I dabble in lots of other little things that um, excite me in the moment. But today I am looking ahead into the future, looking at 2025, and I'm thinking about what I want to make this year, what's exciting me, and what I'm not as excited for. So I thought I would bring you along with me whilst I go through this process and try and plan out my year of makes. So with me today I have my trusty bullet journal, which I do not use anywhere near as much as I would like to, but this is just to help me keep all of my thoughts going in the one direction as opposed to going in all directions simultaneously, as is quite often the case. So if you see me looking down, I'm just checking my notes and seeing where I'm at. So my first project of the year, which I have already started, I've made the tiniest little starts, nothing worth actually showing, but it is the wee sheepies cushion cover. I have the kit. The pattern was designed by Midge Porter Designs, but I've got the kit from Midge Porter Designs also. The main reason that I wanted to make this was the end of last year was pretty stressful for me. I mean, the start of this year's been much the same, maybe worse. But yeah, I was just itching for a new cast on. I just wanted something fun, and I didn't want to have to make any decisions. And that's where kits come in. I didn't. Everything I was looking at, I just couldn't make a decision of what yarn to use. You know, all of these little decisions that you need to make when you start something new. So when I seen they still had a kit in stock for this, it was a no-brainer. I was like, this is just fun. Someone's already made the decisions for me. They've done all the hard work. I just need to do the crochet, which is the fun bit. So yeah, I've made the tiniest little start. As I said, nothing worth showing off, but crochet, I find crochet doesn't take me an absolute age to make progress with things, so it shouldn't be too long term a project, but we will see. Whims are whims, and they go as soon as they arrive. But yeah, I love the design of this. All the kind of different coloured squares, it just gives me kind of Andy Warhol Campbell's soup vibes, but with lovely little sheep. What's not to like? I can't wait to really get started with it because I think I'm really going to enjoy it. The next thing that I really want to work on this year is a crocheted shirt for myself. So my partner and I, we have booked a holiday for the summer, and the area that we're going to be is most likely going to be around 40 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what that is in freedom currency, but for Scottish standards, that's really hot. That, you know, that's enough to kill me. So I want to make a crocheted granny square shirt, and I want to make that with 4-ply yarn that's 100% cotton. I know the yarn I want to use, it'll be the Sostrena Grena 4-ply cotton that I use for just about everything. But I haven't been able to find a pattern that I like. This here, this is an image that I found from a fast fashion high street retailer that I'm not going to purchase from them. It looks to me as if it has actually been crocheted, and as we all know, crochet cannot be made by a machine. It's all done by hand, and the prices that this retailer was charging for this does not reflect the work that goes into it. So you know straight away, you know, the people that are actually making this are getting paid absolutely nothing and probably doing under appalling conditions. So that's just a straight no. We know this about all things that are fast fashion high street retailers. But crochet, there's no way of escaping that. Like, you can only kid yourself so far. But I do like the design, however. As I said, I haven't been able to find a pattern that's going to give me what I want. All the crocheted shirt patterns I've found have been for DK. As I said, I'm wanting to use 4-ply. But I think I'll just be able to wing it. I'm quite comfortable with crochet and I'm not too worried about the fit of the shirt. I want it to be loose. I want it to be kind of like oversized and boxy. And yeah, I want it to be open, which is why I'm going to do it granny square, because then it's going to be open, but it's not going to be too X-rated. So it's something that I can wear in public, but actually be like covered up, so you know I can benefit from the breeze, but without turning everyone, you know, within a 10-mile radius of me, making them feel ill. So my plan for that is I'm gonna work up some granny squares, play about with different sizes. I'm gonna keep it really simple. I'm not gonna do anything too fancy, and I'm probably gonna stick to the black and white colours. I'm not 100% sure on how I'm going to work the collar and stuff, but I'm comfortable enough with crochet that I think I will just be able to freestyle it. If it were a knit piece, I wouldn't feel so comfortable. But I've been crocheting a lot longer than I have knitting, and I find crochet just a bit easier to just pick up and do what you want where you want. Whereas knitting, I feel like I kind of need to plan ahead. I need to know what I'm doing before I'm doing it. Whereas crochet, I can kind of just change my mind, pick up where I left off, or go somewhere totally different. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel a little bit more confident with my crochet skills than my knitting skills. So that's my summer crochet shirt. For my next two makes, they follow the same kind of theme, if you will. One thing that I became quite mindful of in 2024 was just how large my stash has gotten and how little it changed over the course of the year. I stopped buying as much yarn. One of my favourite things at yarn festivals is shopping for yarn, obviously. But I just found myself, when I was going to festivals, looking around and just thinking, you know, I've got yarn that's quite similar colours sitting in stash that haven't been touched, so I probably don't need to buy this. Yeah, and then after a full year of making, my stash didn't really move. You know, like I didn't make that big a dent in it. So for this year, 2025, you know, I'm thinking about the yarn shows that are coming up, and I'm still wanting to go to them. But I'm just kind of thinking, I don't really need yarn. I just don't. So, another issue that I have with my stash is that it's all single skeins for the most part. I rarely buy more than one skein of anything because I'm an impulse shopper. I see pretty things and I want to take them home with me. But if I'm not buying something with a particular project in mind, I'm not going to buy multiples of it. But then the problem is I go home and as much as I love the yarn, because it's all single skeins, it's just feels a little bit limiting what I can do with it. So these next two projects are kind of stash busters in my mind. First up, I want to make a sweater, a striped sweater in 4-ply. And my kind of thinking is, if it's striped, the colours don't need to be cohesive. They can be contrasting, they can be complementary. But it's a good way to kind of use up single skeins and have those interesting pops of colour and still be able to appreciate the pops of colour within each skein. So the patterns that I've been looking at, the first one is the Painting Brick Shawl by Stephen West. I've wanted to make one of these for years, since it got released. I love the design. I think it looks great. But I don't know if this is going to work for the yarn that I'm wanting to use up for this. The image here It's all solid colours, or at least semi-solid colours, whereas most of the yarn that I have that I'm wanting to use is variegated. So I don't know if in this particular design, if that will be too busy, if it's all kind of speckly, because there's a lot going on as it is, and I think sticking to solid colours would really benefit the look of this. Whereas I think if I was using really variegated yarns, I think it could end up looking a bit messy. I still want to make one, but that might not be the pattern for this particular project that I have in my head. The next one I have is also by Stephen West. It's the Rainbow Ring sweater. So I love this one. It's smaller stripes, but the neutral, the grey that's used in this, it looks as if it's actually purled. So you're getting that kind of three-dimensional texture, which I think is really lovely. I love textured knits. But the only thing, because although this is quite thin stripes on this one, I could just pick and choose how I want to do that. I wouldn't need to stick to the way it's striped. I could make them thicker. I could change the amount of colours. I could have as many or as few colours as I want in those stripes. But the main thing that makes me think I might not use this pattern is that it's a yoked sweater. I much prefer the look of a raglan style sweater, but I find a yoked sweater is much more enjoyable to knit. So it's kind of trying to balance, you know, the kind of process, and you know, enjoying the process and enjoying the product. I don't really know, because I think if I enjoyed the process, I would enjoy the project even more. No, product. If I enjoy the process, I would enjoy the product even more. But if I'm going to invest that amount of time into a garment, I want to love the look of it. I want to wear it. So I'm not 100% sure about this one, but it's definitely a contender. The next option I have, and I think this might be the one that I'll go with, is the Endeavour sweater by Caledonia Dreaming. This one, you know, it's a very kind of, the example image that they give is very classic, kind of French seaman sweater. Love it. Mine would be a bit more colourful, but I do like the idea of having a neutral. I would probably go for a dark grey or a medium grey, then having like colourful stripes, like nice brights. And again, I wouldn't necessarily need to follow the stripes that are in the pattern. I could, you know, do what I want. I could have more stripes, have wider, have thinner. It's more the shape of this one that I like. It's that raglan style, which I think just looks a little bit more like what I want out of a sweater. I like the structured look it has. It's a bit more, not rigid, but it just looks a bit more put together. I don't know how to vocalize my feeling about that one. Yeah, so this might be the pattern that I'll go for. It's kind of between that and the Rainbow Ring sweater. And again, it's trying to marry up the finished look and the process. I don't really enjoy the raglan process that much, but I just think it looks a little bit cleaner. I don't know. But that's my thoughts for that one. The next project I have planned for this year is along the same lines. It's trying to use what I've got, trying to use up stash. And it's a cardigan. It's very, very similar to the last project. But I've only got two patterns that are contenders. And I think they would both... I don't think I could go wrong with either of them. It's just trying to decide which one I want more. And I might not have to make a choice. I could make both. Probably not this year, but in my lifetime. So the first pattern is the bubble cardigan. Again, by Stephen West. I didn't really think I would have this many Stephen West patterns on my to-do list, but I do. But the bubble cardigan, I love the shape of this one, and I love the pattern, and the kind of use of the colours, the way they all kind of merge together because of that. The stitch pattern where each row is kind of overlapping with the next one and the one prior. I think this one looks really, really fun. It looks super cozy. The one in the image is really oversized, which I like. But the only thing I'm not 100% about is the stitch pattern. It looks nice and it looks fun, but that's a lot of work that's all over. So I think that could potentially take me an absolute age to get it finished. Like, I like doing like plain stocking it gets really boring really quick, but this might be too much detail, if you know what I mean. And it's kind of I don't know how motivated I would be to work on it if it's this kind of same stitch pattern all over. So yeah, I love the look of it. I want the finished object, but I don't know if I would enjoy the process that much. My next option is kind of the opposite. So that's the Garter Marler cardigan, again by Stephen West. So this is marled, so it's 4-ply held double, so it would definitely be a quicker knit. And it's garter all the way around, so it's just knits. I'll just be doing the knit stitch all the way around, which again could get boring, but it would definitely work up quicker than a complicated pattern. This one, I feel like I could maybe do a fade more, I feel with when you marl things in garter, I think you could fade things really, really well. But I don't know. Both of these are both really strong contenders. I want both of these objects. I think I prefer the bubble cardigan, just because of the way it looks in the image. The fit looks really oversized, really cozy, whereas the garter marler looks a little bit more fitted. But again, I could alter sizes and stuff like that. But just the vibes it's giving, I'm kind of leaning more towards bubble cardigan. I think I want that finished object more than I want the garter marler finished object. But I don't think I could go wrong with either option. So definitely let me know your thoughts on these past two projects, which one you think is more exciting or you think I might enjoy more. If you've made any of these patterns, then please let me know. So up next, this has actually been, I planned this project out years ago and I kind of just didn't do it and I kind of forgot about it. So I have I already have the pattern. It's the Verso hat. Well, the pattern is the Verso hat and cowl, but it's just the hat that I'm interested in making. The cowl's lovely, but I'm not a cowl person. I actually already have the yarn, and it's pretty cool yarn. So this is by Lovebugs Yarn, my friend Diana. I bought these, I think it must have been 2020 or 2021. But I think these colours are great together, and I think the contrast is going to look so good in the pattern, because you've got the really jagged kind of shapes. The contrast between these is just I think it's going to be awesome. The only thing that I think I'll change about the pattern is the brim of the hat. I might double that just because for hats, I love doubling the brim over. I just think it looks better, in my opinion. It just looks a little bit too short, the brim. I just prefer a bit more solid a brim. But that's personal preference, and that's fine. This probably won't be an immediate cast on, even though I kind of want to, because I've got the yarn, it's all caked up and everything. I've even got the pattern printed off. It lives in my chicken bag that I've had for years. The yarn has actually been sitting in this bag with the pattern, waiting for someone to pick it up and work on it, but unfortunately it's only been me that would do it, and I don't do as much as I would like to do. So the next two projects that I want to work on, I've been wanting to make them for a while, but I never really had a reason. But last year, my sister had a child, a gorgeous little boy, my dearest nephew. And the most exciting thing is that I have a tiny little person in my life to make things for. So the first pattern is the Very Hungry Caterpillar, which is designed by the Castle of Cozy. They're on Etsy. I'll link all of these things below. But this, yeah, so you've got the full caterpillar and all of the different foods that can be stored inside the caterpillar. This was one of my favourite books when I was a child, and it's something I'm quite excited to kind of pass on to my nephew, and hopefully he'll enjoy the Very Hungry Caterpillar just as much as I enjoyed the Very Hungry Caterpillar, and still do. So his birthday will be coming up in June, so my plan is to make this for his birthday. I might not make all of the foods, I might just make a handful of them. I don't think he'll particularly care. And if it kind of makes a difference between him getting it for his birthday and him not getting it, I'm going to cut out some of the food groups. But the other pattern I want to make is the Very Hungry Tube Socks, which is designed by Nora Fingston, I believe. I can't actually read my handwriting. Fingston. It'll be on screen and down below. I've actually had this in my library on Ravelry for years now, but I never really had a reason to make them. Now I do. These socks would just be the perfect companion to go with the Very Hungry Caterpillar. These are just so cute. And because they're tube socks, there's no heel. Well, I don't think there's a heel. I've not actually looked at the pattern. Generally, my understanding of a tube sock is that it's heelless. Could be wrong. But that makes it super easy for people to put the socks on for my nephew. And I just think this would be so cute, seeing him with these little socks on. So that's the presents I'm planning to make for my nephew. And the last couple things, I don't really have anything to show, but these are kind of just goals and general things that I want for the year. I want to learn to sew. I've been going on about this for ages, but enough is enough. I just need to put my big boy pants on and just learn. My kind of goal is to weave some sort of fabric, probably like a tartan check kind of thing, and sew a shirt, like a kind of loose overshirt, but with my own handmade fabric. I believe it's possible. I believe I can do it. It's just a matter of doing it and, learning. So yeah, and the other thing I want from this year is I want to get back into making art yarn. This is something that I done years ago and I really enjoyed it, but I kind of stopped myself from doing it because I just kind of thought, what's the point? What am I going to do with it? But I really enjoyed it, and that's the point. And for me, when I say art yarn, I don't just mean textured yarn. I mean weird yarn. Yarn as in the finished product, not necessarily a supply. It's something that could be used. But for me, the art yarn that I want to make and that I'm thinking about making is being made for the sake of being made. It's not being made to make something else. If that makes any sense whatsoever. It probably doesn't. But yeah, one thing I used to enjoy was kind of, I would get these different ideas, like these different kind of concepts and spinning a yarn based around it, but I didn't dabble in it as much as I would like. But I've got all these ideas lately of really interesting yarns that I want to spin. And I don't have any plans for the yarn once it's spun. I just want to spin the yarn. And that's enough. That's more than enough. My enjoyment of the process is really all that's required. if at some point down the line I do find an interesting use for it, great. But that's not really the goal. The goal is just to make the yarn. I don't know. I don't know. I've got a couple different ideas of yarns that I would like to spin, and I really just want to just get back into doing it and stop overthinking kind of everything if I could. It's probably not possible. But yeah, that's all the projects. As I said, I've already started with the wee sheepies cushion cover. But after that, I'm probably going to have to start the crochet shirt. Probably won't be like a huge focus on like finishing it, but I just want to get the kind of general idea worked out, so that it will be ready for the summer. Obviously, my nephew's presents, that's in June, so that's something I need to be mindful of. And everything else, they're going to be like cold weather clothes. So they're not going to be a number one priority. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for joining me whilst I take a look ahead. If you've got any suggestions for alternative patterns for any of the projects I mentioned, please let me know. I would love any tips, advice that you have. And I'd love to know what you're planning on making this year. What are your crafty goals? Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Bye bye.